You've caught me at a time. I'm just packing some stuff away into my van vault, which I'm not going to need on this job because it's just taking a heater out of a motor yacht. But what I've just done is gone and seen a job which is coming up of removing a 10 kilowatt generator from another motor yacht engine room, and you know, the old one's got to come out, but it's right by the port engine. It's hard to explain, and later in this video, maybe now, I'll put in footage so you can see around there you've got the generator pod, and it's got to come apart and out in sections because there's not room to move it with the engine in situ. The boat's been built around it basically. So as a result, they're going to move this generator into the middle of the two engines, and I've got to reroute all basically the life support system, and I'm just thrown a bit of a, not thrown an epi, but I have whinged on a bit and said, look, it takes as long as it takes. I've got to put a new enclosure in with DIN rail terminal blocks, and then find a route up to the control centre in the wheelhouse, up to decks to put the new control panel in, and there's no easy fix to that either, because it's not going to fit where the old control panel went, and it's got to be a neat job because, you know, it's a multi-million-pound boat. So yeah, I threw a bit of a wobbly when I saw how much work was involved, and the fact that she said she could do it in 2 days. It out one day, in the other. That's what I was hearing, and Mr. Rupert didn't like the sound of that. So okay, get my phone out my pocket. This is going to be tricky to film, but I want to bring you to something that's a bit more interesting than kind of run-of-the-mill boring old stuff that I've been doing on video. So here we are in the engine room. It's a really tiny engine room, and I don't know if you can see, but through there on the right, give you an idea. I don't know if you're getting much of an idea of how cramped this is. That is the unit that's got to come out. What I'm shining a light on, it's a diesel heater, and to do that I've got to get across in front of this engine and round the back of the engine, round into there. So we'll see if we can do that. I'll take this off its gimbal. You can go in before me because you're only in a little camera. Right, so there's also things on the hull side here that can't be smashed, like a depth sounder. It's made of plastic. If I hit that, I'll snap it off. There's another one that's been snapped off, but I'm quite close to it now. Look at that state of that. Look at that. That's all pretty bad, isn't it? Right. And he's saying that the exhaust is broken on this as well. I think it's that angle is broken. And I've got my socket set, my 1/4 inch favourite socket set here, which is, I don't know if you're getting any of this. Here's the side of the engine. been painted with the zinc paint in places. So I'm almost at it, just lying like this. I wonder if I can... Oh, I'm bending the trunking now. Oh God. I've taken off the exhaust and the fuel supply. Unfortunately, orientated is the... That's not... I've taken off the air intake, not the exhaust. The exhaust is orientated, but my shoulder is getting very, very tired. So I'm going to try and change position. It's very difficult to get to. God knows how I'm going to do this up again. I'm having to do it all by feel at arm's length in a very difficult position. No, I can't do it with a screwdriver. I just don't know. It's orientated completely away from me. Even getting to my tools risks sitting back on squashy ducting and crushing ducting. But God knows how they people install this. Well, why couldn't they install it over there? Just unbelievable why they've done this. It's bloody unbelievable. Bloody unbelievable that somebody would do this. Install it like this. That's too big. That's too big. These are deep sockets, so I find they're the most useful socket conformation. That's I don't know if it's too small or too big, so I can't see the actual nut that I'm trying to undo, but it's not engaging. I'm trying to balance this. Oh man, it's just awful. This is awful. This is worse than the other boat. You'll see what that's like. I don't know. It's not undoing. It's so tight. That's the next horrible thing. Okay. Not all of these securing nuts are done up. I can undo these quite easily. It's just that. Oh man. She's got a horrible voice, that woman, hasn't she? Really rough. Oh. God! Christ! God! Well, I'm sitting possibly on the depth sounder, which I hope I haven't snapped off. That I've just had absolutely no chance to get to. I don't know if you can see. No. Right, behind here, I've got to be able to reposition this trunking and screw it up with absolutely no access, and I don't think that is possible. So I'm just gonna, I think I'm going to go back to the office. I'll go back to the office, I'll report back, and tell them the position, that I may not be able to get back on again. That is the position, I'm afraid, because I just, there's no way I can get to it. I'll try seeing if I can get to it over the fuel tank.
Motors.co.uk wants to help you take the big little drives that'll get the action used to
There's my tools. Put them on top of the engine and try and get out of here without breaking anything.
As well as being able to read our expert guidance, you can benefit from our decade of experience helping match buyers with the right car at the right price. And there are other tools like SmartPack.
Somebody put the fucking batteries in a stupid place here. Fucking batteries.
So grab your seats and enjoy top flight football once again, live on BT Sport in HD. Plus, with lightning fast broadband, you'll have made your signing of the season. Don't get left on the bench. Get Virgin Media's bigger bundle for £45 a month for 18 months with a £35 setup fee. Visit virginmedia.com.
I think this is beyond a joke, really, and I've possibly caused a lot of damage doing that.
Like Disney Plus Big. Exclusives like Artemis Fowl. All of the training is linked to
Okay.
Plus massive movies like Frozen 2. Plus so much more. All for that tiny price of just $5.99 a month. We got it. Disney Plus, always live.
There we are. Got it out. There we are. Wish I had my tripod. Triumph! Chichester Harbour. That's the mill. So I'm going to head back to the workshop now, put this thing on the test bench, leaving my tools here for now, as the van's here anyway. So where I'm heading to is over in that distance past that big tree, and that is where the workshop is. Stopped by the lock. The little boat coming out. And what she is. right now. Here's the test bed, and this is the unit, which we've got to start taking apart. Because I don't have my tools with me, because they're all in the van and at Birdham. So hopefully there's some screwdrivers and things around here. Hopefully. Well, I can't see any. With me, shouldn't I? This is the unit out of its casing, ready for a service kit, which is going to come tomorrow. I might go and check that fridge current consumption, which means I need my ammeter. I'll show you where I've got to with the strip down of the Airtronic D4. So this is the desk I'm using. She's quite comfy, and I've stripped it down to its main unit parts. And what I found was, so this is the combustion chamber. Or this is the combustion chamber. No, that's a... I don't know. But anyway, this is what had soot in it. And the removal of this glow plug posed a problem because of the cables and the fact that that was set into a counterbore. But actually, if you take the motor off, it exposes the glow plug in its seating in here, and you can get a spanner into there and just undo it with the spanner without any special tools. So there's no need to take the glow plug off first. Gasket's got to go back in there. I don't know how you tell whether that's dirty or not. Yeah, I think it is, so this needs tapping out. And then the motor and fan unit. Can the fan come off? No. The fan would be good to get out, because it's dirty, but I don't think that's a screw in there. No, it isn't. Nah, it's not going to come off, I don't think. So that's clean. That I've now cleaned. It had some soot in it. This is the internal control unit, which hopefully is fine. This is clean. Just got to wait for the new gasket. That's not the gasket goes in there. And parts wash has been good. And then we can put it on the rig and try it all working. This is Tony. I've known him 26 years now. 26 years, Tony.
Well, not quite that long.
It is. It's 1994.
Oh, is it really?
26 years.
Good gracious me.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. That is Archie. He's about 2. He's very clever. He can do all sorts of tricks, and he does dancing.
Alfie.
Dog dancing. So, yeah. Go back, clear up the tools on there, and I think that's just about as far as I can go because they haven't got the kit, the service kit until tomorrow, and tomorrow I'm somewhere else. So yeah, I might go and I might just show you actually this generator that they're taking. Nice trip down memory lane. When I used to come here at the end of the 60s, early 70s, all the boats were on here. This car park was the Hard. There wasn't a yacht club there. It was probably another building or something. And the trots, which are the big sling cranes behind those trees, used to be able to come out on come out onto the canal as well. The old tireways, which are made out of I-beams on concrete stilts, are still there in the undergrowth. And it's when you see something like that that probably haven't been used since the 80s, when they started really developing this place. Marina Developments PLC got in here. It's when you see things like that that makes you feel quite old. I'll see if I can get a picture. It's not very interesting, but it's the passage of time. And now, you know, I look back to my earliest memories, some of which are here, and I think, well, if you went back the same amount of time when I was at that age, you'd be almost in the 1920s or 1930s. You know, the world was so different, and the world is so different now to what it is. You can just see, I think, down there, the stilts where the trots used to be able to come out, and we used to call them drots. I think we used to call them drots, but they're boat movers, big crane things with up on stilts. I always remember them being yellow, and getting home and trying to build them out of Lego. So I'm going to show you the engine room of this dastardly new boat that we're scheduled to do a generator change on. So this is the boat. Tristan, it's Rupert. I'm just coming down to show my YouTube followers what we're up to.
Right, nice.
So this is the engine room. That's where they wanted to put the new generator, but it's not going to go there. It's going to go in the middle now. And this is Tristan, and Tristan is trying to take the old one out. As you can see, it's a bit like the other boat to get into, except this one's got carpet and it's got public footpaths right the way round the engines. So, but no standing headroom, obviously. He's got all his tools down here, which I said was going to be quite a job to do. All the tools, and he's sitting there with a high pressure water system in his arse crack. And
explain the profuse sweating.
yeah. Oh, he's managed to get the fluorescent light working. That's right in the way as well.
At least you can see it's in the way now.
Yeah. There's a little 4-cylinder diesel. Looks like a Yanmar. with a great big sodding great alternator on it. But it's all got to come apart, all in bits. You're not going to get it out today, are you?
God, no.
No.
Probably not tomorrow. There's at least 2 men, at least 2 days.
Yeah.
At least. And I'm on my own.
How did you get the...
And the customer's going to be here at 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
How did what?
How did you get the other part of the casing out?
I took all this out
Oh, right.
and just drained it and picked it up, and there was an exhaust here, wasn't there? So I took that out.
Oh.
And it was quite easy then.
Right.
It's got there.
It's a bit like working on a U-boat, isn't it? Anyway, so I haven't got a first Scooby how this wires in. Absolutely not. Until tomorrow when the wiring diagram arrives.
Okay.
And guess where I am tomorrow? Not here. Or the next day. So my nightmare is that you get this all out today and then they're just sitting around twiddling their thumbs,
No, don't you worry. This can
waiting. Says, "Where's Rupert? When's Rupert?"
This job.
Yeah.
Weeks and weeks. Weeks and weeks. And they don't quite seem to get it yet. They will.
They will get it.
At some point.
It's just what has she promised the customer? That's the worrying.
Yeah, there is that.
She keeps on going on about how they get a generator in and out in 2 days
Of
at
what?
Navigators.
Of the box.
And added to which, so I'm also going to show you is where the control panel for this is, up 2 decks. I spoke to Brian earlier and he said, oh yes, you'll be able to see where the cables go. They'll all be in trunking. I said, trunking? He said, well, I think that's what you call it. I said, do you mean tray?
Yeah.
Or tray, he went. I said, there's a bit of a difference because one I can use my rods on and one I can't, and that's tray.
Yeah.
And it all goes sort of that way and then presumably up somewhere. I don't know where it goes up. It is quite airless in here, and if by any chance the fire extinguisher goes off, then you're pretty well suffocated, aren't you?
Oh yeah, dead in seconds. Yeah.
Dead in seconds.
Yeah.
Is that all disabled then?
I have asked if it will be. They don't know if it's actually live in the first place, but I'd like it to be.
Oh, it's good that they don't know. So I went up a mast on a frigate.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to turn all the radars off and everything.
Yeah.
Otherwise they make you infertile, which I pretty well am now.
Really?
And yeah, so they were, the officer of the watch and some sub-lieutenant was fiddling around with the radhaz board and didn't seem to know which key went where. I said, I think it's this one. I said, with all due respect, sir, I'm not going up the mast if you don't have a Scooby what's meant to be turned off and what keys are meant to be on the radhaz board. So he said, no, it's fine, we done it. So I put all the gear on, went up the mast, and then they started the main engines, which the exhaust are just below where I was hanging. So I thought, well, if they haven't put a radhaz key for the main engines, which are supposed to be off when anyone's aloft, then what else haven't they?
Yeah.
You know? And the yeoman was down on the deck going, come down, young, come down, like waving at me, you know, because the yeoman was my line manager and he found out that I was up there.
What was your job?
I was a junior signalman. I was putting up dressing lines so that they could dress overall, but you have to put the blocks up so they can, you know, the flags.
Right.
Well, they're not up all those. It was HMS Richmond. Yeah, 297.
Can't remember if you were from Richmond or not.
Yeah, she was a bit of a nightmare in the
Ariadne.
end of the 90s.
Yeah.
Ariadne's a long time ago.
Yeah.
She's in the 60s.
Eh?
She was in the 60s.
Well, she was also in the 90s.
Was she?
Yeah.
Ariadne?
Yeah, my brother was on there.
What was she? A steamship?
No.
Well, HMS Ariadne.
Yeah.
She was a frigate. She was a
Training.
a what?
Training ship.
Oh, as a training ship maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the engine room, and that's the hatch, the watertight hatch for the engine room there. Comes out in the wardrobe of this little cabin with its bunk beds, children's cabin, and this is the master cabin. I can't really show you much because it's very small and cramped in here, but by boat standards it's quite large, but it's just not by wide angle Nikon standards. So this is the, I suppose you call it the main deck, although it's below the level of the weather deck, and then the bridge deck or wheelhouse, and here is the panel for the generator, which will come out and a new panel go in. So this is Master Vault or Panda or something. I don't know who the new one's going to be, but so it's got to be a nice job. As you can see, this is all sort of, this is all owner's sort of place, and yeah, so if we go inside here, you can see some of the cabling that the standard it has to be to end up there, which I can't see. But yeah, it's all a bit of a nightmare not knowing what's what. But as you can see, he's pretty blasé about not being able to do it in 4 days, but he hasn't told Susan. And then you've got this nice sort of aft deck. If I can get back a bit further, you can see the aft deck here, and then the main deck, the wastes of the ship. This is called the wastes, and then the bow. It's here, the anchor, and that's your view of the pilot house or bridge deck. As I say, it's not overpowered. They've got those two little 6-cylinder diesels in there, but the engine room's not really big enough, and that's all under the water down there where we've just been. So it's 54 foot. Go and collect our belongings. I think I've left anything there. And get to City Electrical and order myself a Schneider enclosure, or maybe even on eBay. Hey Gary, you've got a new company you're working for?
Yes, mate. I've started up on my own.
Really? Gary Osborne?
No,
Oh no.
no, still the same. Just different outfits, different things. But how's it going?
I'd really like I really like their t-shirts. Yeah.
Choose up.
You got any drugs in it?
Like spliff. I'm joking.
What?
It's a cigarette. I'm joking.
I know.
Oh, you're not having it, are you?
I thought you were offering it.
No, I was being sarcastic.
Have you heard about this virus?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I wouldn't be very good with it. But I wouldn't get it off you, would I?
Puff give. I don't know, mate.
Do you know what? I went over dinner time and my wife works at a local